Hello, 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 everyone, and super excited that you're here today. I am going to be going over the four key principles that I've used that have helped transform my relationship with anxiety. So stay tuned for the next 45 minutes to an hour because there's something special at the end. Okay, so first of all, you are probably wondering, are you in the right place? And valid. So let's go through this. So, you're in the right place if you're feeling like anxiety has completely taken over your life. If you feel like you are constantly in this state of go, 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 followed by epic crashes. So you're having a hard time balancing your energy and kind of getting into this flow of even emotional keel. You're also in the right place if you feel disconnected from your body and you feel like you've lost your zest for life. Sometimes this is diagnosed as clinical depression, but other times it's a little bit more complicated than that. You don't quite fall into this category of depression, but you seem to have lost your interest in things that you typically love to do. You're also in the right place if you've previously met with a therapist or a mental health professional and you've realized that one-on-one is not right for you. So I'm just going to say this right off the bat. It's not for everyone. Meeting with a therapist or a psychologist or any mental health professional directly one-on-one isn't for everybody. And that's really why I wanted to share this information with you guys, because over the past 10 years, I have gained a tremendous amount of information that I want to continue to share with people. But I recognize that there's a lot of barriers to entry when it comes to meeting with somebody one-on-one. And so I created these tools and put them all in one place for you to have access to them without needing to go through this rigorous process of meeting with a therapist one-on-one. You're also in the right place if you want the tools to work through anxiety on your own time. If you want what's up here in my brain to be in your brain without having to talk about what you're going through. I recognize a lot of people aren't comfortable talking about their life, talking about what they care about, talking about their problems, and that's normal. I would say, even for myself, I'm a psychologist and this is my profession. I still don't feel comfortable being in your shoes, being in your position. So I completely understand why you wouldn't be. And that's why I created this, so that you can work through anxiety tools in your own space on your own time. You're also in the right place if you want to learn the four principles that I used to transform my relationship with anxiety. So before we get into this, I want you to pay attention to this symbol. Whenever you see this, I want you to screenshot the information on the screen, because it's going to be something that will be really relevant and something that you're going to want to save for later. So when you see this symbol, go ahead and screenshot. Okay, so let's get started. Most of you guys probably already know who I am, but for those of you who don't, I'm Dr. Jennifer Anders. I am a psychologist. I live in the state of Colorado, and I teach entrepreneurs, business owners, and professionals the ultimate way to transcend anxiety and live a fulfilling life. And what does this mean? This means feeling empowered about your mental health, feeling like you're going through life with an interest in learning new things, meeting new people, like this zest for being yourself. So many of you guys may know me from Instagram. I'm at the Anxiety Doc, where my goal is to empower my viewers and to provide you guys with information and tools to thrive, really in all areas of life: relationships, personal development, health, internal challenges, anxiety. That's me. So I started my mental health and wellness journey as an undergraduate student at the University of Colorado in 2009. So at this time, I was working through my own struggles with anxiety. And really, in my 8 years of study, my graduate work and my undergraduate work, I was able to gain the tools and the knowledge needed to overcome my troubled relationship with myself. Like a lot of the time you'll hear mental health professionals say they went into this field of psychology because they themselves struggle with something, and I could definitely say to an extent that was true for me with regards to anxiety. So I show you this wonderful picture of myself from 10 years ago because 10 years ago today, I struggled with depression. I struggled with terrible anxiety, with disordered eating, with, I had weird relationships with myself and even weirder relationships with other people, my friends. I was in a rut and I had no idea how to get out of it. And so this cycle was perpetuated by unhealthy relationships with people, unhealthy relationships with food, and really not understanding this concept of balance, like how to find the right energy to keep me going. So I would go from one activity to the next, never giving myself a chance to just pause and relax and introspect and synthesize the information that I was learning. And then I would crash. And so this whole cycle was really masked by this cycle of partying, drinking, having not great relationships with people was kind of like a superficial mask that covered up my own emotional turmoil. And so this is a picture of me at age, 20, drinking at a concert, dyeing my hair colors that were not normal, being a ridiculous 20-year-old. And so that's kind of like what characterized my life as a teenager up until my 20s. Now, things are really different. I am fully connected to my purpose and my passion. I'm thriving as an individual. I'm aligned with my desires, which makes me feel like excited to wake up every morning and to do my job and to do my work. I'm living a life that feels amazing. I have a proper balance between work and fun and play. I'm happily married and in love with my husband. And this is something that I did not think was available for me. I thought that relationships and happy marriages were for other people, not for me. Most importantly, I'm living true to my values, and I'm trusting that everything is unfolding in my life exactly as I desire. And so this really comes from a place of trusting myself and trusting the people around me and knowing that I'm like energetically aligned with my purpose. So things are quite different now than they were 10, 20 years ago. So, okay, let's first dive into some of the statistics here, because I think this gives a foundation for everything. So anxiety is super common. According to Anxiety and Depression Association of America, they did a 2020 survey and they reported 62% of their respondents to have some degree of anxiety at that point in time. Similarly, 31% of adults will experience an anxiety disorder at some point in their life, not just some anxiety, a full-blown disorder. And that's pretty staggering. And third, anxiety disorders are extremely prevalent and comorbid with other disorders. If you've not heard that word comorbid before, it means that there are links between anxiety and depression, anxiety and disordered eating, anxiety and OCD. And so anxiety often falls with another disorder. And so while anxiety in and of itself is pretty mild when it comes to mental illnesses for some, right? I don't want to generalize. It very often occurs with other mental illnesses that are not as easily as treatable. So what is my motivation here? I know that mental illness can be so debilitating. And I also know that it is possible to overcome anxiety. Not just me, a doctorate in psychology, everybody. Anxiety is one of the most treatable mental illnesses. And I want to share that information with you. I want to give you hope. I want to help you realize how my journey is not unique. How if I can do it, so can you. So I was able to achieve mental clarity through this really strategic system that I created for myself that's optimal for people who are not quite sure how to begin implementing psychology into their lives, into your life. Maybe you've read a couple books, you've met with a therapist, and you have all these ideas about what you're supposed to do, but you don't know how to actually make it work for you. That's what this is all about. How to bring these teachings, these tools into your life, and how to make sense of them, how to make them actually work for you. So, what are you going to gain from learning about this information? First and foremost, emotional freedom. Freedom from debilitating mental illness, mental health stability, emotion regulation tools, your zest for life, and your time. Your time is a huge one because when we're struggling with anxiety, we say no to things. We spend our time perseverating on problems that we can't fix. And so when I say you gain time, what I mean is that you gain your life back. You gain your sense of mental clarity back. And most importantly, you gain a sense of alignment and passion for life again, right? When we think about mental health on a spectrum, we have debilitating over here and thriving over here. And my goal is to help spread psychology to the betterment of well people. I'm not sure if you've heard that term before, but I don't want you to just merely get by. My goal is to help you thrive in your life and in your relationships. So you're going to gain a whole bunch of information. You're also going to lose some stuff. You're going to lose stress. You're going to lose an emotional burden, a weight from your shoulder, a weight that's been bearing down on your shoulders. Imposter syndrome, burnout, and procrastination. These are all things that are associated with negative emotionality. And working through this information, learning this information is going to help you move through this. So before we get started here on the actual information that I wanted to share with you, I want you to first tune into your body. Close your eyes if you feel comfortable and visualize. Visualization is one of the most powerful tools that we use in psychology to help imagine what our life will look like on the other side of transcending mental health. So if we can't imagine it, we're going to have a hard time getting there. So I want you to first tune into yourself and think about these questions. What do you have time for now that you have your mental health back? What could you do now? What would you be able to stop doing? And how would you treat yourself? So tune in and really get clear on what the answers to these questions are, because this is where transformation lies, in the details here. Okay. Secondly, I want you to know that this is possible for you. Yes, I'm a psychologist, and yes, I studied this, but I've helped countless men and women transform their anxiety, and I want you to know that their stories are indication of your success as well. Their ability to transform anxiety is an indication that you can too. Like I said earlier, anxiety is one of the most treatable mental illnesses, which means it's possible to overcome it. Unlike some other mental illnesses that really kind of change your mental chemistry for life, kind of have your mindset and your abilities debilitated, anxiety's not like that. Anxiety is possible to transform. So why are you really here today? You probably want freedom from those emotional shackles that have been weighing you down. You also probably have big goals for your life, and anxiety gets in the way. I know it did for me. you're ready to stop fighting with yourself. I think this is a huge one. We get in the way of ourselves. And so when we stop getting in the way of ourselves, the world opens up to us. All right. So really at this point, you're faced with two options. Option one is to keep doing what you're doing, hoping your anxiety will go away, but not having a plan, a strategy, or a system of support to help get rid of it. Option two is follow a step-by-step proven strategy from a licensed psychologist who has transformed her own anxiety and has helped hundreds of women do the same. So to me, this is a no-brainer, but I meet up with a lot of people who want to continue to work through this on their own and keep falling short. And the reason why they keep falling short is because they don't have someone to hold them accountable. They don't know what to do. They don't know when to do it, and they don't know how to do it. And so that's where I come in. That's the reason why I have this career, is to help you do this, to help you live a life that you know is available to you, to help you create freedom from mental illness, to help you regain your zest for life, to help you feel confident and aligned in your life and your relationships, and most importantly, to help you feel a sense of energetic balance throughout your day. So, introducing Anxiety Transformation Academy. What in the world is Anxiety Transformation Academy, you might be asking? So this is a step-by-step method that brought me from worried, anxious, self-sabotaging, mentally unstable to a thriving psychologist and business owner. Now, I recognize you probably are not trying to become a psychologist, and that's totally fine, but the point of this is to say it brought me from low to high, and I know that it can do the same for you. So what's included? First and foremost, 8+ years of my education, plus my heart and soul went into this course, as well as my own personal experience with transforming anxiety. In addition to that, hours of research and practical application with one-on-one clients. So this is tried and true. This isn't just something that I pulled out of thin air. This is something that I know has worked for me and has worked with the other hundreds of people that I've worked with. So right now, before we even get into Anxiety Transformation Academy, I'm going to teach you 4 things. These are the 4 things that I used that kind of are the foundation of transforming your mental illness, transforming your relationship with anxiety. First is how to bring awareness to your thoughts. Second one is how to identify your triggers. The third one is how to implement coping skills in the moment when you're actually struggling. And the fourth part is how to step into your future desire before there's evidence to support your new reality. So if you're able to use these 4 steps, to do these 4 things with fidelity, I guarantee you your relationship with anxiety and your relationship with your mental health is going to be so much better. So I'm going to teach you how to do that. So inside this course, inside Anxiety Transformation Academy, I walk you through how to apply each one of these areas to your own life. And so this is the breakdown of the 5 modules. We'll get into this in a little bit. I just wanted to briefly introduce you to it. So first and foremost, how to bring awareness to your thoughts. Humans are really special in that we have the ability to think about our thoughts. That's what we call metacognition. So since we have the ability to think about our thoughts, we want to bring awareness to them and not let them control us. So we do that by noticing them, noticing our thoughts and our emotions as they arise through different daily interactions. And what we want to do is we want to resist making judgments about them, and we want to watch them with curiosity rather than with judgment and intensity. The second part of this is introspection. So what this means is I want you to start looking for patterns in your thinking. And again, we do this, while we're doing this, we're avoiding judgment and shame. We're just looking with curiosity. The third part is shifting your paradigm, shifting your way of thinking. So what this entails is recognizing what's no longer serving you, what's no longer serving your highest good, and start to take small baby steps that align with your innate values. So what this means is you're not acting based off what's expected of you, you're acting based off of your true innate values. And we need to get clear on what those are first. The fourth part involves letting go. And this means giving yourself grace for believing what you previously did, for thinking what you previously did, for doing what you previously did, and allowing yourself to change. So many people don't allow themselves to step into a new person, to be a new person. And this is really harmful. This is where we get stuck. We need to evolve. We need to change. It's good that we do. And this starts with this process of self-inquiry. So getting clear and really asking yourself, what do I desire? What is not serving me? What's not working? And what do I want out of life? The sixth part is all about realignment. So making that commitment to your desires, taking small baby steps, small actions every day that are in alignment with the person that you desire to be. And practicing not letting other people's opinions sway you. This is a big one that at first feels really scary, but over time starts to feel more and more empowering. So after we identify and bring awareness, after we bring awareness to our thoughts, the second part is learning how to identify your triggers. So you've probably heard this word before, but what is an emotional trigger, right? Like, do we actually know what that is? Do you know what that is? Well, an emotional trigger is something that makes you feel uncomfortable and elicits a strong emotional reaction. Really, this is something that tells us, it's an indication of what is not working, something in our life that we feel frustrated, unsatisfied, or incomplete in. And it's different from person to person. So if we start looking at our triggers as something that is like a clue to help us change, it's going to really reframe the way we approach life. It's going to be less frustrating if we know that this is something that we can work with. So you want to start paying attention to the things in your life that elicit strong emotional reactions, right? Are there certain people that drive you up the wall? Are there certain places that you really, really like get a weird vibe from whenever you walk in, or a strong emotional visceral reaction from, or certain situations that you do not feel good about? Make a mental note of that and remember, where in your body do you feel that sensation? For me, it's usually a pit in my stomach. Some people hold tension in their chest, and other people, it's in their shoulders or up in the back of their head. Everyone feels emotions differently or feels sensations differently. So I want you to pay attention to where in your body you feel that sensation. And watch this feeling with curiosity rather than judgment. That's kind of the theme of all of this. We want to watch our feelings, watch our emotions, watch our sensations with curiosity, because this opens us up. When we're judgmental, it innately closes us down. When we're curious, it opens us up. And so curiosity is huge here. Oh no, there's a little screenshot button here. So I want you to start by asking yourself these questions. Why am I feeling envious? What do I believe about myself that's limiting me from being the person I want to be? What do I believe I can and cannot achieve? Am I comparing myself to an unrealistic standard? Am I comparing myself to a culmination of 500 influencers on Instagram? Do I feel drained after spending time with blank, a certain person? How do I normally feel when I do blank? Why does insert any topic you want make me feel frustrated? So these are the questions that are going to start to get those wheels turning, moving you in the right direction. Go ahead and screenshot this because these are important. Okay. The third step to all of this is implementing coping tools in the moment, right? We all know what we're supposed to do, but when it comes time to our emotional state bubbling over, it's really hard to actually use those tools when we need them. And that's kind of what this is all about, teaching you how to actually make use of those tools when you need them. That's the million-dollar question. And so we do this by setting up a system, setting up reminders and routines that support you. Okay, so this is what we go over in Anxiety Transformation Academy, is how to do that, how to structure your environment in your day so that when you're triggered, you bounce back from it immediately, or so that you're reminded before you're triggered not to go into an emotional rabbit hole. The second part is practicing meditation and mindfulness, and not as a means to an end, but rather a way to gain awareness about your thoughts. We often hear people talk about meditation and mindfulness. I think these two topics are kind of overused at this point, but they've been taken away from their roots. We just do them because we're supposed to do them, but that's not the point of what I'm trying to convey here. We use these practices to gain awareness about our thoughts. And so when you meditate, when you use mindfulness, you want to keep this in mind. What are my thoughts telling me? What are my emotions telling me? Then we use the 5-second rule. I love this one from Mel Robbins. Whenever you're triggered or whenever something emotionally heavy comes up, you start counting down from 5. So in those 5 seconds, you consciously pay attention to the 5 count. And when you get to number 1, you act. You act from a place of that's true to your values rather than from a place of blowing up. Or rather, you don't act. If you're used to lashing out, you count down from 5, collect yourself, and change the situation, change your thoughts. Really powerful practice that I could spend a whole hour talking to you about, but for the sake of today, just have to briefly introduce you to it. So the next part is practicing giving space in between stimulus and reaction. So often we see something, we react. We hear something, we react. We get into a situation, we respond immediately. And so the goal here is to try to create space in between whatever situation or stimulus or trigger you're presented with and the reaction. And that's really what I teach you, is how to make use of that golden space in between stimulus and reaction. The next thing that I love to do, that's kind of the foundation of my practice, is thought reframing. So really briefly, instead of telling yourself, I'm so nervous, try reframing it by saying, I'm so excited, right? Anxiety and excitement are actually two sides of the same coin. And it's often way easier to reframe anxiety as excitement rather than trying to eliminate it altogether. So next time you feel this like really excited, activated state bubbling up inside of you, reframe it and tell yourself you're excited rather than anxious. See if that makes a difference. Okay, something else that we get into is problem-focused versus emotion-focused coping. And so what this is all about is when we focus on solving the issue rather than dwelling on the emotional experience it creates, we open up this path forward. Really, what this is all about is how do we move forward as opposed to staying stuck in the emotional state we're in. And what it all comes down to is lessening your grip on your emotions. So rather than trying to control your emotional experience, I want you to lean into it. It seems really counterintuitive, but all emotions pass. Emotions are energy in motion. And so when you trust that your emotion will pass through you, it will pass through you much easier. When you think it's going to get stuck inside of you, that's where it starts to create problems. So a little trick that I use to work through this is I set a timer on my phone for 75 seconds. I go into a quiet room alone and I feel that emotion as intensely as I can for 75 seconds. I cry, I feel it, I lean into it. And by the end of that 75 seconds, that emotion has passed. So I want you to give this a try and see if this works for you. And go ahead and screenshot this because this one is super important. Okay. The next thing we work on is to recognize your cognitive distortions. So a cognitive distortion is essentially a thinking trap, something that we fall into. Our brain likes to make categories of things. That's just how human beings are. And it's good because it helps us provide like a mental schema for the world. It helps us organize things in our brains, but it's also bad because it impacts our mental health. And so we need to recognize when we're falling into mental traps or cognitive distortions. So these are some of the common ones. There are tons and tons, but these are the ones that I see the most often. Black and white thinking, catastrophizing, making every little problem seem like it's the end of the world. Personalization, so every action that someone does is personal and a personal blow to you as a human being. Mental filtering, which means like discounting the positive and only paying attention to the negative. Emotional labeling, which is believing your emotions are facts. Emotions are not facts. Feelings are not facts. They're just energy and motion. And so when we label them, we give them credit for something that they're not. So we want to recognize these cognitive distortions when they're occurring and pull away from them. Watch them with curiosity again. So this may seem challenging at first, and I get it. You know, it's not something that's going to change overnight. I don't want to sell that false premise. This takes work. But the more you get into the habit of acknowledging these things, the more it will become second nature for you to question your thoughts. And that's really what we're getting at here. I want you to question your thoughts rather than accepting them as facts. So, how do we do this? There's another little screenshot icon here. So, we do this by embodying the future you desire before you see evidence. What in the heck does that mean? So, I want you to think about metamorphosis as an analogy. The caterpillar doesn't doubt that his transformation will happen. I like to use he and she. So he/she inherently knows that they will, right? If you focus on the known, you will get the known. If you focus on the unknown, you create this spark of possibility. And the longer you hang out, like mentally speaking, in this area of unknown, the more you're going to create new experiences and new possibilities that lead to change. So this is really esoteric, but I think it ties everything together really, really nicely. So how do we do this? What do we actually need to do in order to bring this state of being forward? First, you have to trust that positive mental well-being is trying to make its way to you. You are not destined to be a miserable person. You are not destined to be anxious and depressed for the rest of your life. Positive mental well-being is available for everyone. And know that it takes the path of least resistance. It's trying to make its way to you. And so I want you to shift your energy and attention from watching for evidence of this rather than waiting for evidence of this. When we're waiting, it implies that it's not happening. When we're watching, it implies that it's happening. Transformation is happening. Positive mental well-being is making its way to us. And you want to watch for evidence of this occurring. And we do this by holding on loosely. So if you know your life desire is coming to you, I want you to let go of how it's going to happen and trust that it will, right? This involves an extreme amount of trust, and I recognize that. But this is how we move forward. We have to trust in the unknown. You have to trust in your path and in your desires. Your desire to transform your mental health is enough to transform your mental health. And from there, we make moves that are in alignment with the person that we want to be. Know that the next best move will become clear to you as you're moving down this path. So, with that being said, we have to feel, we have to act, we have to speak, we have to make decisions and think from a place of already transcending our issues with anxiety and mental health. We can't be thinking from a place of being burdened by mental health. We have to think and act from a place of already transcending that in order for this reality to come to us. So we have to act from a place of being free. For me, it's about freedom. We have to start making decisions and thinking from this space of already having the thing we will be in alignment with, or whatever it is that we desire. Okay? It starts to feel a little different when you start acting from a place of the person that you wish to be versus the person that you have been in the past. So this all feels like a lot. If this feels like a lot, I get it. And that's what I'm here to do, is hold your hand through this process, to break this down step by step so that it makes sense, so that it's clear and concise, and so that you have step-by-step actions to guide you through this. And so that's what this is all about. So in Module 1, we really establish a foundation and prepare your mind for change. That's how it starts, opening your mind up for change. So we go over several concepts of mental health and all the different types of anxiety. And I help you understand how anxiety shows up in your life. So I provide you with an introduction to the cycle of anxiety, how to move beyond this state of languish and into a state of thriving. So in Module 1, we begin to integrate these principles into your own experience. There's opportunity to reflect, to pause, there's homework, there's assignments, and all of this integrates the foundations and understanding the cycle of anxiety into your own life. In Module 2, we start to work on identifying triggers. So we talk about some of the common emotional triggers, and we begin to understand your emotional triggers, your personal emotional triggers. So through this process, I help you work on creating space in between your situation and your innate reaction, right? Your emotional trigger. That's kind of what we were talking about earlier, that golden space, how to use that. And I help you create consistent energy flow so that you approach each day with excitement and vivation rather than wanting the day to be done. Because if you wake up in the morning and you're already excited for the day to be over, something's not right. Something needs to change. That's kind of where we go in Module 2. Coping skills is what Module 3 is all about. So here I introduce you to a host of coping skills and grounding techniques that I love and that you can integrate into your life. So by the end of this module, you will have created a personalized coping skills plan that you can actually use during times of stress. So I introduce you to thought logging and daily mood tracking so you can learn how to monitor and reflect on your thoughts in order to gain better insight into them. And I help you stay consistent with healing so that you actually feel empowered to take action rather than stuck. And this is where the magic happens. In Module 4, we go over understanding the trauma response. So here we talk about the difference between little t and big T trauma and how our body responds differently and similarly to each. Maybe you've heard those topics before. I don't have enough time to get into them right now, but this is kind of the density of Chapter 4 or Module 4. I introduce you to the concept of polyvagal theory and how we use this to heal our nervous system and to regulate our nervous system. And then you apply these theories of healing into your own life to regain a sense of connection and love and joy. And that's really where this regaining your zest for life comes into play. once we have nervous system regulation. Finally, Module 5 is all about synthesizing the practice. So I teach you how to fully incorporate these tools that you've just learned and prepare you for transformation by going through activities and setting visions, creating goals for lasting change, and consistency in mental health, right? A lot of times people's mental health is like emotional roller coaster. Heard it described as that. I've experienced that. And so how do we create goals? How do we create a system to keep our mental health consistent always? So we go over, this is to me the key, we go over what to do when you're trying to change, but it's not working. Because this is what I hear all the time. I'm trying, Dr. Jen, I'm really trying, and I don't know what's working. I don't think I can do it. So what do we do when we brush up against that? Well, there's actually a formula to walk through, and that's what I teach you. So just a little glimpse into that. When this happens, I encourage you to ask yourself, is this change aligned with all parts of me? Maybe there's a part of you that's not aligned with the behavior change and that you're subconsciously self-sabotaging your success. So this is just the very tip of the iceberg. We get into all of this and more in Module 5. So if this seems like a lot, I get it. It is. It totally is. It takes hard work. And this is not for the faint of heart. Like I said earlier, you have to be willing to change. You have to be ready to change. So first and foremost, I want to say that I walk you through this process step by step. There isn't going to be any guesswork. There's going to be a lot of hand-holding. And this is a 100% online course. I love it because you can go at your own pace. So if you have a week where you have a lot of extra time, then you can spend a lot of time and energy working on it. If you have a busy week at work and you don't have much time to devote to this, you don't have to. So you go at your own pace. You have lifetime access to the materials and access to all the future updates that I create within the course. So as I edit, as I add more information, which I tend to do, you will get access to all of that. So what can you expect by the end? First and foremost is that you've gained knowledge about the anxiety feedback loop. This is kind of a mystery to a lot of people, and so I help completely demystify this process. You will have learned how to implement strategies to help you show up for your life with excitement and joy. You'll have learned how to tune into your body and feel joy and pleasure. You'll have also developed a practice of self-trust. You'll have learned how to cultivate a feeling of inherent worthiness that's not based on external or environmental actions. And you'll have created consistency in your health and your well-being routine. You'll have also developed confidence to transform your mental health. This is a big one. A lot of people feel like they're not able to, but by the end of this course, you will know what to do and you will feel empowered to take action. You will have taken action, I should say. So something else that you'll expect by the end is to become comfortable using coping tools in your daily practice and to know how to use them. Another thing we work on is nailing down how to set boundaries so that people respect you and your needs. We do all of this by implementing the mindset regulation technique, and this is the 4-part system that I developed that helped me and hundreds of other men and women so that you feel confident and you never feel confused about how and when to put your coping skills into action, that you know what to do whenever you are emotionally triggered. And so through all of this, you'll gain an understanding of how to work with your anxiety rather than letting it take over your life, your school, your career, your relationships, your everything. And that's the power of this program. So due to confidentiality, the nature of this topic, I can't share pictures or actual names, but These are a few of my client testimonials that have experienced really radical transformation. And I think that while I can't share their identities with you, I think their words can hold a lot of power. So CT from Austin said, before anxiety transformation, I felt totally disconnected from my body. I learned how to be happy and undo bad habits that kept me down. I regained my zest for life. And this client really benefited from polyvagal theory. It helped her to regulate her nervous system and to feel in control of her emotions. BA from Boulder, Colorado said, I really struggle with regulating my energy. My weeks would be go, 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 followed by epic crashes on the weekend. And I learned how to balance out my energy, feel motivated and alive. And TL from Maryland, I would generally classify my life prior to Anxiety Transformation Academy as being disorganized and chaotic. I realized that I was living my life for somebody else. And through this program, I learned how my thinking is now in alignment with who I want to be. So this is available for you. So I'm sure you've been wondering this whole time, what's the price? What's the investment? So this is the figure that Anxiety Transformation usually runs for, $3,500 US. It includes 5 self-paced modules, over 6 hours of content, massive opportunity for growth and expansion, and really the reason why this figure is so high is because over 8 years of experience from a licensed psychologist went into cultivating this program. I like to think of it as a university level based course that you would pay thousands and thousands of dollars for. So for a limited time only, I'm offering this program for $19.97 US dollars. $3,500 value. Today I'm offering it for $19.97. It includes the 5 self-paced modules, over 6 hours of content, massive growth opportunity, and again, over 8 years of experience from a licensed psychologist. So if you purchase today, before Friday, Anxiety Transformation Academy is going to be offering a $1,500 savings if you enroll, as well as access to the Anxiety Coping Skills Guide that you will get for free if you purchase today. So I want to make this process doable for anyone. And I recognize that not everyone has the ability to drop $19.97 right here and now. And so that's why I'm offering a payment plan option. So if you choose this option, it's a 12 monthly payments of $297. Great deal. So as you're going through, you'll see this payment plan page. You'll have the option to first pay in full or to pay over a 12-month period of time. After you click the payment option, it will bring you to this page where it will prompt you to enter your name and your email address. This is because you're registering for Anxiety Transformation Academy on Teachable. So you're creating a Teachable account for you to learn the information. And then you're going to be entering your name and credit card information. So after you've enrolled, you will have immediate access to this course. You will have immediate access to the content and you can start working through it right now. You'll have lifetime access to the materials and all the future updates. And most importantly, you can go at your own pace. I know that I've had a lot of questions. I'm really busy right now, but my schedule starts to die down a little bit in December. Can I purchase it now and will I still have access to it in December? The answer is yes. You'll have lifetime access to this course material. 100% online, and if you enroll today, you will get the special deal. So, like I said before, this value is typically $3,500. This is a university level course that I would typically offer if I were lecturing at the university. Today, I'm offering it to you guys for a special value of $19.97. So this is important. This is huge. This deal is quite honestly a steal. So some of the questions that I keep getting asked are, how do I know if I'm ready? And so I always guide people into answering this question. If the desire is within you, then the answer is yes. What you desire is an appropriate indication of what you're meant to achieve, what you're meant to have. And so if the desire is there, the answer is yes. Second question I always get asked is it too expensive? So first and foremost, that's why I offer payment options, so that it can be accessible to everyone or to a much broader audience. Second, I want you to take a deep look into your priorities. If you're struggling, I want you to realize that they're not going to magically disappear. You have to invest in transforming in order for change to happen. So I want you to know that. I also want you to know that if you don't have enough time right now, or if you're struggling to implement mental health into your priorities, know that this course is self-paced and that you have unlimited lifetime access to materials and all future updates. Some of the other questions that I get asked pretty frequently are, I haven't had a prior experience with a therapist that was good. And really that's the impetus for creating this program. Talk therapy is not for everyone. And I want to help you access these tools and lessons that I share with my clients without you needing to book a one-on-one session. Really a density of material, of information here for you to work through on your own time. And finally, it's a big financial commitment. Well, here's the thing. I want you to ask yourself, where do your priorities lie right now? If money were not an issue, what's holding you back? Are you afraid that committing to this is actually going to make you do the work? Or why are you afraid to take this leap? I like to just expose all of those rocks, not leave any rock unturned is the saying. And so ask yourself these questions. Is it possible to heal on your own? Is it possible to learn this information on your own? Or are you going to benefit from learning how to do this with a trained mental health professional? So this is my offering, and I'm super excited to share it with you. If you're interested, go ahead and follow the links below this video, and it will direct you to the sales page, to the sales information. If you have any questions, I'm available in my DMs. I'm available through email. But yeah, that's it. I want you to know that this offering ends on Friday. And if you'd like to sign up, I'm here for you. I'm looking forward to seeing you on the other side.